I'm live. Okay. Hello. We're starting a little early. This is about 10 minutes early, so we're going to wait for people to filter in, I guess. Feels cool to be live. I have some incense burning. Set the intention. Make this a good one. It's going to be good. Wait for the people to filter in before we get actually started with the real work. Got the book here. Each Moment is the Universe, Dainin Katagiri. Shouldn't have started so early because I don't really have a fellowship, and I told them 10 minutes later than this. I am going to read the card that I pulled for this live stream before I started it to see where the intention is at and see if maybe anybody can benefit from the information. So I'm going to go get that card because I'm not entirely prepared right now. I'm going to get the card in the book so I can read it. I'm just trying the singing bowl. I don't know if it's coming through on the mic. I'll have more together than this in the future. This is the first video. I don't even have a fucking banner on my channel yet. The card I pulled, Potential. Think big for your future. This card is for you if you're tuning in and you can hear this right now. This is alphabetical, so I should do it that way. Potential. I've seen readers hold the card up while they read it. I guess you don't have to see my face. You just got to see the card. Potential. Your creative and mental powers carry great potential. Your plans to expand your horizons are underway, and everything is progressing steadily. Think and plan outside your limitations and remain open-minded as there are more possibilities and opportunities than you can see at this point. This could be study, a business venture, or travel. Be ready to take on the challenges with the think big attitude. Empower yourself with more development and self-exploration. I think that's a nice little greeting for this venture that I'm undertaking here with this YouTube channel and these readings or whatever they're going to turn into that I'm doing here with these lives. I want to do these lives every day or at least a few times a week. Give people some consistency if they'd like it. If you'd like it, you can let me know because we're live and you can say messages. Well, I guess no one's here right now, but if you're watching this replay and you're into every day or every few days, I don't know why I'm asking. The mantra for this card, Potential. My visions and goals take me beyond my current limitations. My visions and goals take me beyond my current limitations. My visions and goals take me beyond my current limitations. You don't actually have any current limitations, by the way. Your current limitations are self-imposed. This is not what the book says. This is me. Your current limitations are self-imposed. So you're not moving beyond any limitations. You're moving beyond the idea that you need the limitations or that they were helping you in any way or that they were even there to begin with. You're kind of learning your potential is creativity. Your potential is creation. Your potential is infinite. And the limitations that you are growing beyond weren't actually really there. You're growing beyond the idea that you needed them. That's my intuitive hit from that. And that's that. They say what do I want to do right now? Because I don't want to start the reading until people get in here. because I liked it to be a live thing. I don't actually want to start the reading until at least the time I said I was going live. So it's another few minutes. I should have planned this a little better. This is the first one, and we're only going up from here. So if you're still with this video, thank you. I'm going to grab the Tao Te Ching and do some readings from that. Always handy. Tao Te Ching, this is the edition that I'm using. There's a billion translations. Some of them I really like, some of them I don't really like. This one I really like. This is by Lao Tzu, which is Chinese, I believe, for old master. Not chapter, they're just little poems. Poem 26. The heavy is the root of the light. The still is the master of unrest. Therefore, the wise, traveling all day, do not lose sight of their baggage. Though there are beautiful things to be seen, they remain unattached and calm. Why should the Lord of 10,000 chariots act lightly in public? To be light is to lose our root. To be restless is to lose control. I mean, I love every poem in this book, I think. Pretty much everyone, but I actually really, really like that one. And I just closed it, so I'm going to reopen it. The heavy is the root of the light. The still is the master of unrest. These words in and of themselves, independent of the rest of the poem, I feel like there's a lot in there. And it's not really speaking to weight. The heavy is the root of the light. My interpretation of this, which is a bit mystical, but this is a mystical book, so we're going to allow it. My interpretation of this, the heavy is the root of the light, is the heavy being... Wait, do I have this reversed? I was going to say in Hermeticism, the subtle and the gross. Well, I guess not really even just Hermeticism, that's how I talk about it. But the subtle realm is the spiritual or mental or mind realm. And when they say gross or dense realm is the realm of the material. The heavy is the root of the light. The still is the master of the unrest. I feel like words don't do justice to what I actually get from that. But the heavy is the root of the light, without naming too much or trying to name too much about what I'm thinking about this. The origin of everything that you see in phenomena or in interaction with others or any place that you go or anything like that, the origin of all of this stuff is other than what it's being presented as. The heavy is the root of the light. If we don't actually want to interpret the words heavy or light and just the idea that the root of a thing is different and possibly even the seeming opposite of what it's presenting as, is to me incredibly significant. I keep looking outside because I like to look at trees and nature and sunlight when I think about spiritual principles for a lot of reasons. Mostly because nature is just very helpful in these endeavors. The still is the master of the unrest. I mean, the whole Tao Te Ching is a beautiful paradox because even just those two phrases, you take the two opposite ends of a polarity, heavy and light, still and unrest, and you're saying that each of them is each other. And Alan Watts says this a lot, I don't know. But Alan Watts has said this. I'm making my fingers out here to be a pole because we're talking about polarity. You've never seen backs without fronts. You've never seen waves without troughs. Everything implies its opposite, and there can be nothing without its opposite. There can be no top without a bottom. And so he says, when you're looking at anything that presents as a polarity or as a pole, you have, let's say, the positive and the negative, the plus and the minus. I don't have to be holding it. And then every gradation in between we have is a pole. And so You have an extreme polarity on both extreme ends of a pole. And if any of the ends of the pole were not there would be nothing. I can't be holding anything if there wasn't two sides to this pole. And so the heavy and the light, the still and the unrest, depend upon each other to exist. And if you're experiencing anything on any end of any pole, if you're hot instead of cold, if you're still instead of moving, if you're, well, this is mental. I was going to say tall instead of short. I don't really know if anything can be done about that, but in the more, I mean, you could buy shoes or lean down or whatever. If you're experiencing any end of a pole, it would be helpful to acknowledge that if you would like to change the pole that you're experiencing, that it's a decision. Love, hate, acceptance, control, fear, love. I say love and hate are opposites, but they're kind of not in frequency. That's more for conversation. But fear and love, I would say, are the pole that we're working with in consciousness. And if you're experiencing most specifically any end of this pole, probably if you're experiencing the fear pole, you're going to be on the love pole. Acknowledge that being in a fear state or anywhere on this gradation actually means that you're on the pole of truth, and that you just have to decide to align yourself differently. And aligning is not my teaching right now. That is Paul Selig's teaching, which I can teach as I understand it, but that's not what we're here for. And the time is now. It is 3:33. This is the official start of the video, so we can ignore everything that just happened before this. We are here. We are here. We are here. Thank you for joining me. We are now going to read From Each Moment is the Universe by Dainin Katagiri, who was a Zen monk at the San Francisco Zen Center when he was alive. And he had moved there from Japan for the purposes of teaching Zen to the United States and for enriching his own life by having a new experience of coming here. And I'm going to read from chapter 7 because I think it's something that I personally need to be reminded of right now. I've read this book many times and I've annotated it or whatever. I've marked everything that I found important, which is a lot of things. And every time I read it, I'm like, I should have marked more. So this is chapter 7, Seeking Satisfaction Within Constant Change. Human beings are always searching for a way to feel satisfied and comfortable. So we produce countless experiences in daily life, good and bad, right and wrong. But no matter how long we seek interesting experiences, expecting they will give us happiness, our desires are still not satisfied. This is true even when we have good experiences, because we want to keep our good feelings around. We want to hang on to wholesome states of being because we know there are also unwholesome states of being, and we don't want to face them. So, whatever we do, there is always dissatisfaction. We feel dissatisfied in daily life because there is time. In the stream of time, our desires and experiences constantly appear and disappear from moment to moment, so there can be no permanent satisfaction. The functioning of time is something that is beyond human perceptual recognition. But even so, it is something we have to understand through and through at any cost. Buddhism tells us that if we misunderstand time, life doesn't work. We don't feel happy. We don't feel comfortable. So we want to know what time is. But time is very strange. Time is not the long hand of the clock going around. Time is change. In daily life, you experience time because something is always changing. Even when you are alone in a room that is completely separated from the changing world outside, you feel time because your body changes. Time passes and your stomach feels hungry. If you could completely shut yourself off from physiological change, you would still feel time because you have a constantly changing stream of consciousness. Look at it this way. Maybe you would say that time is a constant stream of consciousness. Oh, looking at it this way, maybe you would say that time is a constant stream of consciousness. But that understanding is a little shaky because your stream of consciousness is closely connected with memory. While you are asleep, you don't see time. And sometimes, if you have a big shock, the stream of consciousness stops. Then one moment seems to be an hour because you completely lose the sense of time. Would you experience time if you lived in paradise? People say that in paradise you live forever and all your desires are satisfied, so there's no need to seek anything. Can you see a stream of consciousness or feel time in such a situation? No, there is no sense of time there. Maybe philosophically, there is something called absolute time there, but Buddhism wants us to know real time, not metaphysical time. Real time is closely associated to the human life we are living right now. For example, in human life, if you take an examination at school, when the time is up, you have to stop writing. Even though you think, I want a little more time, there is no time left, so you have to stop. Or, if you become sick, even though you hope, please wait, because there is something important I have to do before I am sick, it's too late. There is no time to wait. This is called impermanence. Whatever you think or hope, something is always changing. What makes it possible for the world to change constantly? Buddhism explains three fundamental factors of impermanence: origination, extinction, and maintaining and destruction. Origination is to generate. Something comes into existence. That is the appearance of life, the arising of moment as birth. Extinction is to cease. Something goes out of existence. That is the disappearance of life, the cessation of moment as death. But can we say what the origination of origination or the extinction of extinction is? No. Origination and extinction can't be understood separately as independent concepts. Birth and death don't make sense. They have no meaning. For change to occur, there must be the third factor: maintaining and destruction. Maintaining means that you accept your life in a basic way. There is no particular reason for accepting yourself. It's just that whoever you are, however you criticize yourself, you accept the existence of your life in an affirmative way. If you cannot accept your life, there is no hope and no effort to live. The fact that you make every possible effort to live in this world means that you have already accepted yourself. That's kind of sweet. But maintaining doesn't satisfy you because simultaneously there is destruction. Destruction means that in daily living you experience death, because impermanence constantly cuts off your life. Maintaining and destruction is also spoken of as continuation and discontinuation. According to continuation, you see that yesterday is continuing to today, so you cannot say, yesterday is completely separate from today. Because there is continuation, you accept your life with hope and make an effort to live every day. On the other hand, you see that today is not yesterday or tomorrow, so you cannot say, yesterday is continuing to today. Because there is discontinuation, you look back over yesterday and see into the future. You reflect upon your past and desire to deepen yourself in the future. Then, very naturally, you move toward the future with your best effort. There is a contradiction here. You accept your life, but you're never satisfied because death is also there. Why is human life so contradictory? Change. When we feel the process of change, we call it time. We sense time because there is change. Time as impermanence is the constant activity of origination, extinction, and maintaining and destruction. There is nothing to hold in your hand as a solid being. There is only the action of change. How can we live peacefully in this world of constant change? It may be difficult for you to believe, but we should appreciate both maintenance and destruction. We are dissatisfied because of destruction, but that dissatisfaction is why we are willing to study and practice. And without destruction, there could be no change. The destruction of one moment creates an opportunity for a new moment to arise. Because of maintenance and destruction, we can have hope for the future and make every possible effort to deepen our lives. Change is the basis of human life, so don't attach yourself to birth or death, continuation or discontinuation. Just live right in the middle of the flow of change, where there is nothing to hold on to. How do you do this? Just be present and devote yourself to doing something. This is the simple practice of Zen. When you start to practice Zazen, you will see a panoramic picture of your life running through your head, from the past through the present to the future. Whatever it is, good or bad, right or wrong, it is right there. You may enjoy what you see or be disappointed when you see the unwholesome aspects of your life, but don't judge yourself by who you are or how you feel. Even though you feel something good, it is just experience. It cannot satisfy you completely. Sooner or later, the panoramic picture will disappear because it cannot last. If you watch that panorama with some expectation, you just get exhausted. All right, what he's about to bring up right now, this metaphor for the rice cake or the painting of the rice cake. I forget the first time I read this book, a few years ago at least, but that has pretty much never left my mind in some shape or form since the moment I read this. And I find it very significant as a metaphor, as he's going to explain. Well, I'll just start reading it, but I just wanted to put a little highlight there saying that I found this in particular to be very helpful on my journey in life. In Shobogenzo, which is a book written by another Zen master named Dogen Zenji, and he references this book often, or Dogen Zenji's teachings and work often in this book. In Shobogenzo, Gabyo, which is translated here as a painting of a rice cake, Dogen Zenji commented on the saying, "A rice cake in the picture doesn't satisfy hunger. The rice cake means our experiences, and hunger is our human desire. The experiences we have in daily life are pictures created by our human minds. Like pictures of food, they cannot satisfy our real hunger." But Dogen looks more deeply. A painted rice cake is a rice cake that is produced by many conditions: sunlight, water, flour, and human effort. That rice cake can never satisfy your hunger because you cannot stop at one. You cannot stop eating, so the next day you want to eat another one. Your daily life is also painted. A painted life is a picture of your life produced by your six senses: sight, sound, smell, taste, touch, and mind, or thought consciousness. There's a reference to the sixth sense right there. I don't want to interrupt the reading, but I'm going to comment on that after it's done. Your heredity, memories, customs, education, and many other things. You produce many experiences on the surface of your life, but then something changes and you are not satisfied. You want to throw those experiences away and have something different. Human life is constantly going like this. You always evaluate and judge the surface of your life without looking at your life carefully and deeply, without thinking profoundly. If you think something painted is not important because it cannot satisfy you, that's okay, but that is only part of the truth. It is a misunderstanding of human life, because when you think in that way, you are only seeing human life objectively. If you only look at human life objectively, you are not participating in it. With that dualistic consciousness, you create a big gap, and then you cannot catch up with life, which is constantly changing, so you are left behind. If you want to live in peace and harmony, there is something valuable that you cannot ignore. So let's see the rice cake more deeply. If you see the painted rice cake deeply, finally you can see the real rice cake. The real rice cake is the rice cake as it really is, before you paint it with concepts and ideas. According to Buddhist teaching, the real reality is the flow of continuous change, which never stops even for a moment. Can you satisfy hunger by this flow of continuous activity? Well, in the common sense, your first answer comes very naturally. No satisfaction. But if you deeply but if you deeply see the painted rice cake, you can see dynamic activity there, extending in every direction of the world. That means you see the depth of human experience. That means you see the depth of human existence. At that time, there is no separate you and no desire to be satisfied, because nothing is separate from you. You just return to the basic nature of human life and see the total picture of reality. Even though the experiences of daily life are just a panoramic picture that can never satisfy human desires, that panorama is right in the middle of the vastness of the universe. Painted lives and painted rice cakes are nothing but impermanence. If you touch the core of existence and understand what it means to say that the rice cake in the picture doesn't satisfy hunger, there is nothing to say. You are just present, and you touch the real meaning of impermanence. When you touch this basic nature of human life, you feel relief. This is your final abode, your terminal station. If you take the train of human life, finally you arrive at the terminal station. It seems to be a dead end, but it is not the usual dead end. When you reach that terminal station, it is the end, but it is also the beginning. At that dead end, something happens. A new life comes up. From this basic place, you can go anywhere. To the north, to the west, to the south, to the east, everywhere. Your life is open in all directions. That's a pretty significant chapter of this book, in my opinion. The painting of the rice cake can't satisfy hunger, and life is perceived by our senses as a painting of reality. And so you think you want a rice cake, and you see the picture, and you demand that the picture satisfy the hunger. And you say, I'm hungry. I have a desire that is hunger. I need food. And so you look at the painting of the rice cake. I'm imagining it's a painting of a rice cake on my wall. You look at the painting of the rice cake, and you say, well, that looks like food. And then you keep looking at it, and you're saying, it's not satisfying my hunger, but it's food. It's supposed to satisfy my hunger. Everybody tells me that food satisfies hunger. That looks like food, and I'm not satisfied. My stomach is still very hungry, but there's the rice cake. And we keep doing this and doing this and doing this. Replace the rice cake and the hunger with whatever it is that you're seeking. You're seeking contentment, and you've been told that contentment exists in a job and a house and a whatever. And so you do that, and you're like, why am I not content? Or whatever the example is. I like the painting of the rice cake because hunger seems to be the most potent physical expression or manifestation of desire. Not only because it makes you desirous of satisfying this emptiness, but also because it's constantly needing to be refilled, and also because there is a sense of freedom that is attained when you realize that the body will just always be hungry until it dies. And that your next meal, though it will satisfy the hunger for a little while, is not going to be the gateway to paradise forever. I mean, it might be a really good meal, and it might be the gateway to paradise for that moment. I love food and I love to cook, so I know that food is the gateway to paradise for me very often. But it turns out that making really, 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 really good food doesn't bring you to Shambhala instantly. I was surprised by that. I don't know if anybody else is. So satisfaction is something that cannot be attained by the sensual life, what we might call 3D reality, the stuff that can be touched. Because although we have bodies that can be touched, what we really are, what we truly are, what we interact with every day and we call ourselves, cannot be touched. And you know that because when I touch my body, I even in the language, I'm saying I am touching my body. Whose body? My body. Who's the my? Who's the me that's the body is acting on behalf of? And you might say it's your brain, and the brain is physical, yes, and it interprets sense data, yes, but there is something that is beyond that, and we all know that and experience that. There is an experience that is not physical, and nothing physical can satisfy it. And this is one of the first things you must accept in Buddhism if you are to really try to make substantial change in your life, is because, like he's saying, time is constant change. And if you're mad every time you don't have the same thing for breakfast every day, you're going to have a really hard life, because sometimes you're just going to be out of that thing. Sometimes the store is not going to have it. Sometimes you're away and you can't get to it. So we try really, really hard to make these routines and to guarantee our security and to put security cameras all over our houses and in our phones and in our lives. And we make all this effort to control and box things and list and codify them and routinize them, so we know that there are no hitches or exceptions to anything whatsoever, and we're like this train on a rail or this robot that's been programmed, and we're doing our own programming and we're just trying to make it work. And it just seems that even though we can get pretty close with routines, and routines are very helpful in helping us center ourselves, routines are not the ultimate answer to reality. And I think you can ask anybody, even when they start waking up early and getting everything done, and it feels amazing, but the feeling amazing has nothing to do with a routine or with a guarantee that you will feel amazing forever. It is the result of the spontaneous moment that is arising right now. And it is constantly changing, and your routine will constantly be changing. And I think we tend to forget that. I know I do. I'm integrating these lessons of impermanence and of not trying to satisfy my hunger with the painting of the rice cake. And we get really afraid, I think. And especially when I first encountered teachings like this, I was really afraid at the idea that these things keep pointing to again and again and again and again. I say these things. That was a Buddhist book. So Buddhism, one of the ultimate understandings that you can come to in Buddhism to be considered someone who's, in on it, is the idea that everything in the phenomenal world is not really real. I was going to say it's not really there, and that's kind of true too. But the heavy is the root of the light. And if the world is the light, then there's something that is the root of it that you would call the heavy, or you can reverse that. That the heavy, no, you can't reverse that, actually, because we're talking about the root here. And what you are seeing in the phenomenal world is not the root. It is a reflection of the root. It is not the root. I would love to have a dialogue about this. So I'm setting the intention that we're going to make this so that people start finding out about it. We're going to host it at a good time where people can join it and not be inconvenienced. Yeah. So, and Buddhism especially is a big fundamental part of Buddhism when you're learning it, to be in dialogue with a teacher or with your higher self. I don't think Buddhism necessarily teaches the higher self part until after you've worked with the teacher. But in North Carolina, where I am at the moment, we're a little bit shy on Zen monasteries where I can go and work with a teacher if I wanted to. So I think for people in my situation or any other kind of situation, or even if there is a Zen monastery that you've just never wanted to go to, but you've always been interested, your higher self knows all this stuff anyway. And even they'll tell you that at the monastery, but it's not usually taught in a way. If you're the one going to the monastery and saying, teach me, they're not gonna, or they might, I don't know. Now I'm rambling. Now I'm more refocus. I am open to having dialogue with people about these teachings And these messages, not just Buddhist teachings, we're going to explore all different kinds of mystical, crazy things and channelings and stuff on this channel. All kinds of mystical teachings. I'll do other book readings, imaginal techniques like Neville Goddard stuff and Florence Scovel Shinn, who I love. She's got a couple of books that are really, really, really good. I mean, there are a lot of channels that do book readings and stuff already, like Neville Goddard and Florence Scovel Shinn. You can find those on YouTube read by 100 different people. And unless there's something very special about my voice that you won't hear me read those, what I would like to offer here on this channel is the live interaction and dialogue and creating a community around these topics so we can discuss them and explore them together and hold space for each other in a way that maybe we don't get in our lives, which I will reveal now, that I don't have a lot of personal friends that are interested in discussing these topics in my daily life. So as a result of that, I will open my own avenue for creating that, as I think is a good thing to do. When you lack something, you should create something to bridge that gap. So I am hoping that we will develop a beautiful community here together where we can all grow and share and learn from each other. As Brandon Beecham says on his podcast, and Erica, the Positive Head podcast, I love you so, 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 so much. I'm going to leave you with a message. And I don't know what the message is going to be yet because I'm going to channel it. Okay, we're not doing that with the foot. If you are finding yourself wanting to create a high vibrational spiritual community where everybody in the community, where yourself, where themselves, there is only one self, but where all of the selves may grow and learn together, you only need to put out the vibrational signal. You only need to align your intention to creating community around yourself for the highest good of yourself and the highest good of all of those around you, the highest good of all of those you may meet, the highest good of all of those you may never meet. The work is in consciousness. The work is in alignment. The work is in intuition and calibration of frequency. If you calibrate your frequency to friendship and camaraderie of the high vibration for learning, this is what you will experience. We would like to give our blessings and open up this channel now so that the community may be created in perfect ways. Word I am word through this intention to create a community of the spirit, a Sangha, where we may all grow and learn and thrive in the name of the one infinite creator together. Hare Krishna, Hare Brahma, Hare Hare. That was cool. I agree with that intention, and I like what they just said there. I'm not really going to introduce what just happened. I'm going to save that for another video, but I like what I just channeled there. So be well. I hope this finds you well and that the messages have resonated with you. And I hope to see you in one of these lives soon so that we can engage with each other and help each other grow. I love you so, 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 so much.